The 10th time Anna refused me in bed, I couldn't take it anymore. I hired someone to put on a show. The moment she pushed open the bedroom door, I pretended I didn't have time to cover the naked woman beneath me, didn't have time to steady my ragged breathing. There was no explosion of anger like I'd imagined. She just calmly said, "Sorry to interrupt," and closed the door. She didn't care at all. In the end, I was the one who chased after her. I threw on a sweatshirt and grabbed her arm. "Where are you going?" She turned, her eyes scanning down from my face. I instinctively tried to cover myself. She looked away, "Giving you some space." "It's not what you think," I explained, flustered. "She's just a friend I hired to act." "Why would you stage something like that?" she asked, genuinely confused. "Because of you." The words tumbled out. "Anna, don't you feel anything? Seeing me with another woman, you don't care at all?" She looked down, stepped closer, and straightened the crooked collar of my sweatshirt, just like she did so many mornings when she'd fix my tie. Then, a small smile touched her lips. "Noah, what kind of reaction do you want? Should I be angry? Hysterically demand to know why you do this? Or should I be devastated? Cry, scream, threaten to end it all, and beg you to love me and not break up?" Her cool fingertips brushed my cheek. "I'm not that kind of person." "What kind of person?" I seized her wrist. "I'm not my brother, so you don't give a damn." "What are you talking about?" She struggled. "Let go, you're hurting me." "Noah, I'm not Ethan, so you're always cold as ice in bed." "I'm not Ethan, so you couldn't care less who I sleep with." My rage was about to blow the top of my head off. "Would you be relieved if I died one day? Happy that you finally don't have to stay faithful to my brother's memory anymore?" Slap! A searing pain spread across my cheek. Anna stared at me, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Noah, that's enough." I wiped my face harshly. "Yeah, it's enough. I've had enough too. You don't have to leave. I'll get out." I stormed to the entryway. The person in the room was a mannequin. I couldn't even bear to make you truly upset with a real act. I slammed the door behind me. The scene was fake, but the pain was real. After all, if Anna wanted the stars from the sky, I used to be the one who would have died trying to get them for her. I had pursued her for 5 years, loved her for 10. Even when she was drunk and called out my brother Ethan's name, I would just swallow the bitterness and joke with a smile. "You got the name wrong again. Your penalty is another kiss." She would just nod blankly and say, "What does it matter? My brother died when I was 15. I was getting bullied, and he stepped in to defend me. Someone got careless with a knife and stabbed him a few times." At the funeral, I saw Anna for the first time. She was in a black dress, trembling from crying, like a wilting flower in the wind. I was so jealous of my brother. My parents loved him. Anna loved him. The dead are always cherished more. My mom would often have episodes and scream at me, "Why wasn't it you who died?" In countless nightmares, I'd see my brother and ask him, "Ethan, can you come back? I'll die in your place." He never spoke, just stared at me with cold, empty eyes. He probably hated me too, this walking disaster. In high school, Anna became our class president. She had great grades and was beautiful. Half the guys in our year were after her. Back then, I was a full-blown rebel, roaming the streets with a baseball bat. No one cared what happened to me. Only Anna. She would neatly write my name in her notebook and put a bandage on the bridge of my nose, saying, "Serves you right if it hurts." But I was the only one who knew how gentle her touch was when she cleaned my wounds. Everyone said I hit the jackpot, the bottom of the class, screw up managing to date the top student in our grade. The curve of her smiling eyes was just perfectly gentle. She'd say, "Noah is a really good person. I'm with him because I like him. He deserves it." I'd tilt my head back, down a beer, and brag, "See that? My girl loves me." The bitterness in my eyes was washed down with the alcohol. My brother had a mole by his right eye. I don't. The first time we kissed, Anna turned her head away, blushing. I didn't push her, just awkwardly touched her ear. A few seconds later, she leaned in and kissed me. It was solemn, reverent. Even her kisses were gentle, like a feather landing softly by my right eye. I knew who she was kissing through me. Anna could never bring herself to say harsh words or get truly angry. So when she cried and begged me not to enter her body, even her refusal was a whisper. She said she wasn't ready. I agreed. I loved her, so of course, I would respect her. But I waited for 5 years. Who could stand that? I'm a man. It was embarrassing to talk about. 5 years. I was tired of it. I want a platonic relationship forever, to play the clown for a lifetime. But I couldn't bring myself to break up, couldn't bear to leave Anna. So I staged a scene. I thought she must care about me, even just a little. After our fight on July 7th, the anniversary of my brother's death, Anna and I didn't see or speak to each other again. We didn't block each other. We just stopped. But we both showed up at his grave. The flowers in front of the headstone had bloomed and withered. Anna patiently replaced them with fresh ones, her head bowed as she cleared away the weeds. Her dress was a bit long, and the hem brushed against the dirt as she knelt. I instinctively moved to help her lift it, then froze, remembering we were in the middle of a Cold War. I cursed myself for being so pathetic. My brother's face, sharp and handsome, was frozen in time on the tombstone, forever young. She was smiling. Anna was smiling too. She said, "Noah, let's stop fighting. Let's get back together." But I couldn't smile. I just nodded numbly, my voice automatically saying, "Okay." My last name is Carter. Anna loved my brother, so I stayed by her side, wagging my tail, begging for the scraps of affection she gave me out of love for him. And that was enough. At least when she was sober, she called me by the right name. At least for a few moments, she genuinely liked me. That was enough. Life moved on. After graduation, I became a freelance writer. I got lucky, sold the rights to my first book, and used the money to open a small bookstore. My days were spent writing. Anna was a designer. We'd often spend the entire day in the same room, she sketching, me writing. Occasionally, we'd look up and meet each other's eyes, and the way her eyes curved when she smiled could set off a million sparks of inspiration in my mind, on the page, through my pen. In my stories, the heroine loves the hero fiercely. There are no third parties in their relationship, no other people to complicate things. A young woman's pure, burning love is for one person only. The hero is successful, his parents are healthy, and even when he's at his lowest, there's always someone there to support him, to help him get back on his feet. The darkest moment in the book is just a major conflict before the happy ending. As I typed the final period of the chapter, I glanced at Anna. She was lost in thought again. A strand of hair fell across her ear as her pen moved on the paper, right below the mole by her eye. I knew she was thinking about my brother again. I snapped my laptop shut and threw my glasses onto the desk with a clatter. The noise startled Anna. She instinctively tried to cover the drawing on her paper, but it was too late. I pulled her up, pushed her onto the bed, and tore the drawing into pieces, scattering them like confetti. A shred of paper flew into my eye, itching and stinging. I climbed on top of her, pinning her down. I think I was going crazy. I saw my own reflection in her eyes, out of control, furious, like a caged animal. I tried to kiss her like I always did. She turned her head away. I roughly tore off my belt and tied her wrist with it. Anna's eyes turned red. She couldn't break free, and her beautiful eyes were filled with hurt. The sight stung me. I closed my eyes and kissed her forcefully, tears rolling onto my fingertips. "Say you hate me. Say you despise me," I pleaded. Her eyes gradually became empty. "Noah," her voice trembled slightly, "let's end it here. Noah, I like you too. Noah, you're so late again. I'm definitely not waiting for you next time. Noah, do you think wishes made on shooting stars really come true? If they do, I wish you could be happy forever, just like you are now. Noah, let's just date forever. Noah, let's end it here." Huh, end it here? How ridiculous. Fine. I laughed so hard I choked on my own tears, nodding stiffly. We'll end it here. I don't remember how I got out of that room. It was pouring rain outside. I hailed a cab. The driver asked me where I was going. Where could I go? I'd left in a hurry, no wallet, phone dead. The driver must have seen it all before. He tossed me a cigarette. "Just a breakup, man. Don't act like it's the end of the world. Plenty of fish in the sea." "Thanks, man." I managed a weak smile, my fingers trembling too much to hold the cigarette properly. As I brought it to my lips, I thought of Anna's beautiful eyes again. I had quit for her 5 years ago. The moment she frowned at the smell of smoke, I never bought another pack. I would do anything she didn't like. That night on the hilltop, under a sky full of shooting stars. Her spoken wish was for me to be happy forever. But was she thinking about being with me for the rest of our lives? Or was she hoping my brother wouldn't be lonely down there by himself? Plenty of fish in the sea. I took a long, hard drag. The smoke filled my lungs, a long-forgotten sensation. Why hang myself up on one tree? It was after midnight when I got to a motel. I took a quick shower and sat on the edge of the bed, habitually reaching for a pack of cigarettes that wasn't there. It just made me more irritated. I plugged in my phone. It buzzed to life with a call from Leo. He's one of my few friends. We met when I pulled him out of a beatdown by some local thugs, which is how they started hating me in the first place. After years of being bullied, no one knew how to pull their punches anymore. Besides, their families had donated half the buildings at our school, so what did they have to fear? My brother's blood had splattered on Leo that day. He was terrified. When he came to, he was a mess of tears and snot, slapping himself and stammering, "Noah, I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. I am useless." I stopped him. How was it his fault? The fault lay with those bastards. They got a slap on the wrist, a few days in juvie, and were let go. But a life had been lost, and they finally learned to behave. I went and beat the guy who stabbed my brother half to death. If Anna hadn't stopped me, holding on to me for dear life and begging me not to, I might have. Ugh, why was I thinking about her again? The phone was still ringing insistently. Before shutting it off completely, I sent Leo a text. We broke up. He was probably going to hound me about it. I answered. Sure enough. "Noah, you finally picked up." He sighed. "I was worried you'd do something stupid." I laughed. Am I the type to lose my mind over a girl? He was silent for a moment. Over a girl, I don't know. But over Anna? You would. It was my turn to be silent. Neither of us spoke. The rain was still coming down, drumming against the window pane, making the air feel heavy. "Dude, you wanted to come over? We can get a drink." "I am hungry." I rubbed my aching stomach, cutting him off. I said, "I'm hungry." I fell back onto the bed, my stomach cramping. After hanging up, I decided the empty, aching feeling in my chest was just hunger. I was just hungry. It would be better after I ate. It was just a breakup. No big deal. Who the hell was Anna Miller anyway? A little while later, there was a knock on the door. The delivery person was a young girl. I reached out for the food, but she suddenly threw herself at me, wrapping her arms around my waist and burying her face in my chest. "Let's get started, handsome." I struggled to peel her off me. Miss, I think you have the wrong person." She shook her head, looking up at the room number. "Nope, 1407, 6'1", super handsome, 10,000, 10,000. The chubby guy told me." She stammered. "Chubby guy?" "Lao." It hit me, and I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Okay, first let go of me. Listen, this is a misunderstanding." But she was small and surprisingly strong. She launched herself at me again, her head hitting my chest hard enough to make me stumble back. The door swung shut. In a few steps, we were by the bed. She tilted her face up, her hands hooking around my neck. Her round, doe-like eyes blinked. "So, sir, what's your favorite position?" "My favorite position is you getting off of me." My voice was low as I pushed her away and grabbed my phone. "This is a mistake." She froze. The call connected, and I put it on speaker. "Noah, how is she? Pretty, right? Top girl at the club." I pinched the bridge of my nose. "I said I was hungry, and you sent me a girl?" He chuckled. "Thought you might want to, eat something else to get over the breakup." "Eat my ass." "Shut up." I hung up. When I looked up, I almost had a heart attack. The girl was half undressed. I closed my eyes, grabbed her hands, and wrapped her tightly in the comforter. When I opened them, she was staring at me, stunned. I sighed. "Forget it. Nothing's happening tonight. I'll give you $10,000. Just go." Then I remembered I didn't have anything on me. "Well, this is awkward. Looks like you're getting stiff for now. I'll owe you. I'll pay you in a few days." I grabbed a pen and paper from a nightstand and handed it to her. "Write down your bank info. Why are you crying?" The girl in front of me was sobbing, crystalline tears rolling down from the corners of her eyes. "Sir, you're a really nice person. Can I stay with you from now on?" She looked at me with tear-filled eyes. "Don't worry, I won't do anything. Just let me stay with you." I can do anything. She was starting to ramble. All right, all right. I shook my head. I don't really have a thing for saving damsels in distress, but I happen to have a little extra cash right now. That's all I've got, though. Sir, she said earnestly, you're a good person. How strange. Besides Anna, she was the second person in the world to call me a good person. Such a cheap compliment. I laughed at myself. Live a good life. Find a real job. Don't do this kind of stuff. Sir, are you saying I'm dirty? Her voice was tinged with hurt. It has nothing to do with being dirty. My brother used to tell me that you have to live your life right. You can't depend on anyone else. Whether you make a lot or a little, it's your own accomplishment. I'm not against you doing this work, but I just feel like trading your body for money isn't worth it. Forget it. I'm not one to talk. I squinted. It's your choice. As long as you don't regret it. Who am I to lecture anyone when I can't even figure out my own life? But sir, she bit her lower lip, a sad smile on her face. I don't have a choice. The girl's name was Chloe. She had been kicked out by her stepmother and stepsister. A spoiled rich girl used to getting her way. Her father was loaded but completely clueless, easily fooled by a pretty face. He thought his daughter was out in the world learning to be independent. But in reality, her stepmother and stepsister had hired someone to knock her out and dump her in a distant city. Chloe woke up shivering on a street corner. At first, she was too proud to go back. Then she realized she couldn't survive on her own in a strange place. She told her story flatly, as if it had happened to someone else. Living in a basement, working in an internet cafe. After months of hard work, her boss refused to pay her, saying he'd already covered her room and board. That's when I wanted to go home, she said. But my family had gone bankrupt. There was no home to go back to. She looked down, tracing circles on her white dress with her finger. I had nothing. I ended up at a club, pouring drinks for men. At least I could eat and had a place to sleep. In the beginning, I'd drink with them, laugh with them, but I wouldn't sleep with them. Then more and more guys started requesting me. The manager told me to stop pretending. He wasn't paying me to be a charity case. Chloe, a girl like you, why play the innocent card? She mimicked his tone. I asked him, what kind of girl am I? She paused and looked at me. Sir, what do you think? I had been listening intently and was caught off guard. It took me a moment to stammer out, brave, resilient. She burst out laughing. You're funny. We've only known each other for a few hours. I don't really know you. Anything I say would be subjective. Chloe's eyes reddened. You know what he said? He said, just another gold digger trying to act pure. A wave of anger washed over me. I muttered, what an asshole. She copied me, whispering, asshole, then looked up and forced a smile. I got smarter after that. I'd wait for them to go take a shower and then run. If their wives called to check up on them, I'd even get to drop a hint or two. Your boss didn't find out? I'm smarter than I look, she said proudly. Besides, these rich guys are horny, but they care about their reputation. When my mom was alive, I never had to suffer. I never even heard a harsh word. She sniffled. After she was gone, no one loved me anymore. So, sir, tonight, I was actually planning to run while you were in the shower. Her jumpy logic made me want to laugh and cry at the same time. I asked, do I look that desperate? No, you're different from them, she said sincerely. You're handsome and you're kind. In the end, Chloe came with me to Seattle. It's where my brother went to college. It's also where he found Anna. My brother was a genius, got a full scholarship to a top university at 16. My parents poured all their hopes and favoritism into him. It's pretty dramatic, actually. Ethan was doing volunteer work at a local orphanage and discovered the director was involved in some shady business. He investigated secretly, and after gathering evidence, the director found out. The man went crazy and set the place on fire, trying to make it look like an accident and kill everyone who knew. My brother fought his way out, but then he saw Anna in a corner, frozen with fear. He gritted his teeth, went back in, and carried her out on his back. The police shut down the orphanage, and the people involved were arrested. The orphanage was gone, and so was Anna's home. My brother was always kind. He saved every penny from his part-time jobs and scholarships and managed to raise Anna by his side. He was 17 then, hailed as a young hero. Anna was 12, a small, thin girl who always hid behind him, her pretty, clear face tilted up, her eyes full of adoration. A reporter captured that moment. That photo was always in my brother's wallet. So your brother loved her too? Chloe asked. I shook my head. My brother was in love with someone else, a girl in a higher grade. He only ever saw Anna as a little sister. And her, she loved your brother. I lit a cigarette. Otherwise, she wouldn't have stayed by my side for all these years. Chloe pouted and chugged her beer. A classic case of the stand-in lover. So cliché. If I were you, I would have been out of there long ago. It's so humiliating. She sighed. Noah, you should smoke less. You're going to burn a hole in your lungs. I found it funny but stubbed out the cigarette anyway. I rubbed my fingertips together, feeling a little empty. You're not wrong. It is humiliating. I picked up an empty can by my feet and tossed it into a trash bin, watching it arc through the air. Whoever falls in love first loses. Anna and I both lost, big time. The summer nights in Seattle were humid and sticky. Before long, Chloe was complaining about going back to the hotel. Even though I told her she didn't have to pay and that I was covering all the expenses, she stubbornly kept a record of everything, writing IOUs and promising to pay me back when she made money. I just smiled and didn't take it seriously. The traffic was bad on the way back. The cab driver was a local, born and raised. He had the radio on and a relaxed vibe, chatting with us in a thick local accent. He told us about his daughter in elementary school who had just called to ask when Daddy would be home. He smiled sadly. She'll be asleep long before I get home, but the whole family depends on me. Before we got out, I quietly tucked a few $100 bills under the seat divider. Chloe saw it. After we'd walked a little way, she spoke up again. Noah, you're a really good person. Hey, do me a favor and stop giving me the good person card, I said, glancing at her. I'd rather be a heartless bastard. Chloe laughed for a long time, then said, a friend I knew at the club, she was different from me. She knew exactly what she wanted. So she slept with different men, taking what she could from them. She used to tell me I was stubborn and naive. What's wrong with making money with what you've got? She'd say. Self-respect is the most worthless thing there is. I asked Chloe, did she love them? Chloe looked confused. Does sex have to be about love? I was taken aback. She tilted her head and looked at me. Noah, are you attracted to me? The girl's cheeks flushed red. Her simple white dress outlined her smooth curves. She was beautiful, stunning. As a man, I answered honestly yes. But as a person, no. Well, that's a shame, she said, waving her hand. You're actually my type. We walked a bit further, and Chloe asked quietly, do you still love her? The wind picked up. I looked into the distance and didn't answer. To call it a story about a stand-in is too pathetic. The truth is, Anna gave me a lot. After I turned 18, I rarely went home. It wasn't my home anymore. A black and white photo of my brother hung on the living room wall. My mom would often cook a huge meal and sit in the living room, staring at the photo and crying all day. She went from overwhelming grief to desperately seeking out psychics and mediums, wanting to perform a ritual to bring his soul back into my body. She tried to force me to drink bowl after bowl of black, foul-smelling potions. When I refused, she'd hold a knife to her wrist, her eyes filled with despair and sorrow, and just look at me. I'd look back at her calmly, then tilt my head back and drink the whole bowl. The worst time, I ended up in the hospital getting my stomach pumped. When I woke up, she was sitting by my bed, sobbing, I'm sorry, it was Mommy's fault. It was one of her rare moments of clarity. After that, she gradually gave up and started believing that my brother wasn't dead, that he was fine and would walk through the door any day, smiling and saying, Mom, I'm home. I tried to take her to a psychiatrist. She screamed at me to get out. Noah, you just can't stand to see your brother happy, she cried, her nails digging deep scratches into the back of my hand. You're doing this on purpose. She shoved me out the door. Get out. I never want to see you again. I didn't know if she was lucid or truly insane, but the burning hatred in her eyes was real. I never went back after that. I just sent money home every month and hired a caregiver to make sure my mom was still alive. Once, after receiving the money, she sent me a rare text. Son, thank you. I opened it, my breath catching. The next message followed immediately. Ethan, you're busy with work, but take care of yourself. Remember to come home and see Mom often. She was calling me Ethan. I turned off my phone. I felt like God was really messing with me. As for my dad, he couldn't take it long ago. He asked for a divorce and moved out to live a so-called normal life. He has a new wife, a beautiful daughter, a healthy, whole family. Son, don't blame me, he'd said, the hand holding his cigarette trembling. The smoke he exhaled was thick and long. People have to move on. Yeah, people have to move on. Only my mom was trapped in the past. She collected my hair and blood, plastered charms all over my room. During that time, I started to feel numb, unable to feel pain. No one cared how I was doing, except for her, except for Anna. Does this hurt a lot? Anna dipped a cotton swab in iodine, carefully dabbing at the scratches my mom had left on my hand. She would blow on it gently every so often, like she was comforting a child. I found it amusing. She thought I was in pain and became even more gentle. So someone did care. I looked at her focused expression and, on an impulse, I said, Anna, will you marry me? She froze. Noah, we're good like this. The hand holding my cigarette trembled. Through the hazy smoke, I looked up at the apartment we used to share. The lights were on, the curtains drawn, a figure moving inside. Anna was probably tending to her plants. She loved them. I imagined her patiently picking out impurities, changing the soil, adding water, then looking at me with a smile in her eyes. Noah, isn't it beautiful? I nod and say, beautiful. I was complimenting the flower, but thinking of the person. I bought this apartment after I started making money. When we were just starting out in college, Anna and I were broke, drifting in New York, crammed into a basement apartment. We'd wake up and have to guess if it was morning or afternoon. The blankets were always damp, there was no light, and sometimes when it rained, the floor would flood. One night, we came home and split a packet of ramen. While waiting for the water to boil, I suddenly felt a wave of helplessness. I said, life with me is hard. Anna smiled and said, it's not hard. It's wonderful. I have a home in New York now. Her eyes curved, her lashes fluttering. Still here, Miss Maurice. Later, when I could afford it, I gave her a real home. But why do we still end up apart? The wind picked up, and my eyes felt dry, my vision blurring. I put out the cigarette and went back to the car, pulling my coat tighter around me. I rented a small apartment in the suburbs. In the morning, I could see the mountains shrouded in mist. I wrote every day. I had very little contact with anyone. Occasionally, I'd get a text from my mom asking when her son was coming home. I'd reply, are you asking for Noah or Ethan? A phone call would follow, with a woman's hysterical screaming and crying on the other end. I'd mute it, set the phone on my desk, and let her vent. And also sent a few texts. Noah, how have you been? Do you miss me? I hesitated for a long time, typing and deleting, but ultimately chose not to reply. I forced Chloe to study for her GED. After half a year of burying her head in books, she actually passed. It was a sunny day. She got her certificate and dragged me out for a celebratory dinner, grinning from ear to ear. She held the certificate up high, so happy she looked like she could spin in circles for an hour. Her eyes curved into a smile. Noah, I'm a proper college student now. I found it amusing and gave her a perfunctory round of applause. Yes, an outstanding college student. She was about to say something else, but her expression suddenly froze, her gaze fixed on something behind me. I followed her line of sight and saw the girl standing not far away. Anna was watching us quietly, her face pale, her eyes filled with a sorrow I couldn't understand. Is that your girl? Chloe was the first to react, whispering in my ear. I grunted in affirmation. Looks like she misunderstood, she said smugly. Shut up, I muttered. We broke up a long time ago. Well then, she gave me a quick, inexplicable hug. I didn't have time to dodge. She pulled away just as quickly. Noah, I'm just being a good friend. She winked at me and then skipped away. I was left standing there with nowhere to hide. Anna's gaze was intense. After a few seconds, she walked silently toward me. Noah, can we talk? The old street outside the school hadn't changed. It followed the path of the train tracks. When we were in school, Anna and I loved coming here. She would walk ahead, and I would follow, quizzing her on 100 English vocabulary words and 50 formulas every day. If she got them right, she'd agree to go with me to the food stalls for hot dogs after class. If she got them wrong, there was no punishment. There was always tomorrow. There was always a next time. The day before our SATs, we were here again. She said, gratitude, admiration. I answered, appreciate. She said, flawed, yet beautiful. I answered, imperfection is beauty. She said, a precious thing. I paused. Anna Miller. She smiled and shook her head. Wrong. Her face, however, turned a shade of gray. So I repeated, Anna Miller. I took 2 steps forward to stand beside her, shoulder to shoulder for the first time. I said, Anna Miller, the most precious person in my life. Now, on the same old street, she walked ahead, and I followed, but it felt like a whole decade separated us. I think I never really caught up to her. Anna had lost a lot of weight. She looked like a sail swaying in the wind. How have you been? We asked at the same time. Then we both found it funny. She said, I'm good. I said, no, you're not. Do you regret it? I asked her. Anna didn't answer, just stubbornly asked again. Breaking up with me. Do you regret it? She stopped and turned to look at me. Noah, 2 years ago, I went back to the Salt Flats, the place where we waited for the shooting stars. I was so tired when I got home that I fell asleep while making porridge and forgot to turn off the stove. I woke up in the hospital, about to be wheeled into surgery. I had no family there. A good colleague from work signed the papers for me. That was the closest I've ever been to death. I looked up, stunned, and saw the bitter smile on her lips. Before the surgery, all I could think about was you. I want to see you. I was afraid I would die and never see you again. Tears streamed down her face, hitting the pavement. I was barely holding myself together, my hands clenched into fists, forcing myself to endure. She continued, You asked me if I regret it? How could I not? I held you back. I hurt you for so many years. What right do I have to talk about regret? It was early spring. White egrets migrated in the distance, a white streak across the sky like a shooting star that hadn't fallen. Noah, Anna said softly, Congratulations on your wedding. The woman in front of me was pale, with faint dark circles under her eyes. My own eyes burned. Why are you still lying to me? I sighed and reached for the canvas bag she was holding. She instinctively hid it behind her back. I had to use force to pull it away. Papers scattered all over the ground. Medical records, simple x-rays, and a large bag of pills. Anna knelt to pick them up, her soft black hair hiding most of her face, only revealing a pale chin. What's wrong with you? I asked as I tried to help her. She shook her head, refusing my help. It's nothing. She quickly tried to cover the papers. It's the flu. The flu is really bad this season. I'm hungry, she said. So the flu requires such expensive targeted therapy drugs. She looked up sharply, her eyes filled with shock and panic. I looked straight at her. How long were you going to hide this from me? Were you going to wait until I received your wedding congratulations, then get a call from the hospital with a critical condition notice? And then I'm supposed to hold your urn and repent for the rest of my life for being so blind I didn't notice sooner? No, stop making things up. I know everything, I said with a soft sigh. Can't you just try to rely on me for once? The air was still for a long time before she finally spoke. Noah, I don't want to be a burden to you. I've asked. This disease is very difficult to cure. It costs a lot of money. I'll become ugly. All my hair will fall out. She sniffled. I want to always be beautiful in your memory. Is that so? Should I thank you then, my dear ex-girlfriend? I laughed coldly and couldn't resist pinching her cheek hard. Anna, is your brain made of mush? Acting all cold and distant, making me lose hope and give up completely. Were you hoping that when I found out later, I'd live the rest of my life consumed by guilt? Or were you hoping I'd weep at your grave, praising what a great and noble ex-girlfriend I had? She winced in pain, her eyes red as she blinked at me. And you wish me a happy wedding. The more I spoke, the angrier I got. I was about to explode. I barely managed to suppress my rage and finally spat out. Anna, when it comes to acting, no one can beat you. The air fell silent. She hung her head, chewing on her fingers nervously. I watched her for a long time and then realized, belatedly, that it wasn't anger I was feeling. It was pain. It hurt so much. I sighed and pulled her into my arms. She was cold all over. I cupped the back of her head and whispered in her ear, "You're sick, so just focus on getting better. If the sky falls, I'll hold it up. If we don't have enough money, I'll figure something out. I'm not getting married. Don't even think about pushing me away to someone else. You are beautiful. Anna was beautiful before, and she's beautiful now, even thin and sick. You're always beautiful." She trembled slightly, and a hot liquid dripped onto my neck, searing me and making it hard to breathe. I asked her the same question I'd asked before. "Will you marry me?" The trip to Seattle, I had figured a lot of things out. My love for Anna was muddled. My hatred wasn't real. It was all mixed up into something I could never escape. I thought, this is it. Let her love whoever she wants. Until the night she almost died from carbon monoxide poisoning, her colleague called me. He sounded frantic, saying Anna had suddenly had a nosebleed at the office and collapsed. She was rushed to the hospital. He couldn't reach any family and didn't know what to do. When I got to the hospital, I thanked her colleague, paid a portion of the bill, and waited outside the operating room all night. The next day, I listed my house and car with a real estate agent. It wasn't carbon monoxide poisoning at all. It was stage 2 cancer. It was during the time she was unconscious after the surgery that I went back to our apartment. I had to pick the lock on her bedroom drawer. It was full of hidden lab reports and medical records, the dense numbers and figures shocking. Next to them was her journal, filled with her familiar, neat handwriting. "Fought with Noah again. I want to say I'm sorry, but he'll probably just get soft-hearted again. I love him so much. I don't want to leave him. I can't continue this. I have to break up with him by my next checkup. The medicine is so bitter. I don't want to take it. Another one today. Noah, I miss you so much. I dreamed of that person again today. It's disgusting, so disgusting, so disgusting. Why me? Why did it have to be me?" I sat on the edge of the bed in silence, finishing the entire journal and a whole pack of cigarettes. I finally understood what had been tormenting Anna for so many years. She had been subjected to long-term psychological abuse and harassment at the orphanage. My brother had saved her from that hell. It took her a long time to get her life back on track. Her feelings for my brother weren't love, but dependence. And as for her feelings for me, she wasn't unwilling to love me. She was afraid. She felt she wasn't good enough. And then, because of her illness, she became even more determined to leave me. So foolish. So incredibly stupid. So what if she was sick? Did the past really matter that much? I held her face in my hands and kissed her solemnly, reverently. "I don't care about any of that. Anna, let's get married." Her tears fell onto my collar, landing over my heart, a searing, aching pain. She shook her head, then nodded and finally broke down into sobs. The road to recovery was long and painful. Money disappeared like water. I sold the bookstore, sold the car, and wrote more frantically than ever before. When Leo found out, he handed me a credit card without a second thought, saying it was what he owed my brother and me. "Noah, take it, man. It's all I've got. Don't say it's not enough. Anna's the priority." His eyes were a little red, too. I clapped him on the shoulder.